Hi, everybody. It's Doc Talk. We're at Halloween. Great time of the year. A lot of fun events happen this time of the year, and in working with young people, Halloween has come to be a really special time for young people. Not as much buildup as Christmas, and in some way, that's kind of elegant and beautiful. And the kids get to go have fun, the parents get to go have fun, and I hope you take the opportunity to enjoy some time with kids, grandkids, neighbor kids, little kids who just need somebody with them this time of the year, and so take advantage of it. We fell into a program every year. We would trick or treat with the kids, and even though my wife and I were both in the emergency world and could never get off reliably on Thanksgiving and Christmas and other things, trick or treat night was something that we grew to love. So uh, Halloween means, though, it's the cold time of the year coming. And guess what we're going to talk about today? We're going to talk about cold weather, and we're going to talk about one of the scourges of cold weather this time of the year. And right now, our crews right now are working a call with carbon monoxide. What is carbon monoxide? For those of you not familiar, it is a byproduct of any kind of combustion of hydrocarbon materials. And so anything that you burn produces some amount of carbon monoxide. Even in a home that has a gas grill, a gas range, a gas oven, a gas furnace, produces a little bit of carbon monoxide. They've made them very efficient, though, and release much less. But there are other machines you can bring in the house, like the event that's going on right now with me. They're using power tools at the front of the house, and the wind is carrying the exhaust into the house. And they have people that have gotten too much of the carbon monoxide fumes, and that happens with strippers, and any kind of compressors, et cetera, that are working off of fuel. It can happen with misfiring propane tow motors. And we've had these events in warehouses and in other places where tow motors are working and they're not tuned correctly and are producing a lot more gas than they usually do. Whatever happens, carbon monoxide produces a reliable set of symptoms in human beings. And that includes, very importantly, you get a headache, you get lightheaded, you get dizzy, and that's probably one of the most important symptoms is you get dizzy, and that as it gets worse, you get nauseated, you can get short of breath, chest pain, and you go unconscious eventually. That obviously is as the levels go up in your body and carbon dioxide gets very efficiently pushed through into your lungs, onto your hemoglobin cells, and into your brain and dropped off in the brain, preferentially to oxygen. And so that means relatively low concentrations of carbon dioxide still can produce symptoms. What you do is, first of all, recognize it and know that it can happen in a furnace warmed house that's worked well for years. But this fall, the birds build a nest in the vent tube, or a spider web got occluded by a bunch of other material and occluded the ventilation pipes, etc. Or a storm bent the ventilation. I'm giving you all real scenarios that we have dealt with that resulted in people getting carbon monoxide poisoned. So we evolved from exposed to poisoned, and people have died of that. So we are aware of that in the fire world. We're aware of that in the EMS world. We think about it every time as an emergency physician, somebody comes in with a headache. And one of the questions you always ask is, does anybody in the house with you have a headache also? Anybody who rode in a car with you, if you have an older car and it's a hydrocarbon burning machine, it can produce carbon monoxide. And if it's enclosed in a garage or other space, we have trouble now. Our cars run so quietly, and sometimes it's really not clear because some of the cars, the lights and stuff stay on after you get out of them. So we've had people step out of their cars with the engine still running, and in a house where the garage is attached or the garage is underneath the apartment building, et cetera, and they've gotten sick. It's happened in hotels when the heater for the pool has had a problem, and it's producing large amounts of carbon monoxide that are going in the pool area or up into the area where the rooms are, and people have gotten poisoned in the rooms. So the bottom line is symptoms that are not usual for you: headache, lightheaded, dizziness. That's the beginning. Nausea, vomiting, chest pain, short of breath, should lead you to say, anybody else sick around me? Can I be exposed to carbon monoxide? Do I get better when I go outside? And that's carbon monoxide. We also want to think through that if for emergency providers, if you have one person that's sick in the house, how are the other people doing? Let's go check them. Let's make sure there are no living beings inside the house. Carbon monoxide is, we have in some houses critters that are much more sensitive to carbon monoxide. That's dogs and cats. And they sometimes are hitting on the fact that they're getting sick and they don't feel well before you do. So we have a lot of stories of dogs that warned their owners that something was going on, and cats, when we pull them out of burned buildings, um, they are much more sensitive to carbon monoxide, and they die or are in cardiac arrest when we find them, and we have to do little kitty CPR to get them going again, and oftentimes with some supplemental oxygen we get them going again. Carbon monoxide, this is the time of the year when that stuff happens. And when we first turn on our furnaces and we close up our houses and begin to use, our ovens and other hydrocarbon burning appliances inside, that we begin to see these problems. So we don't want to miss them this time of the year. As we are seeing snow and ice in the country today, be aware that slippery, slidey events are coming. Probably not at the point where vent tubes get clogged by snow. There's not that much snow going on, even out in the West right now. That will be later in the winter when that kind of stuff can happen, and has happened to people in my family before, where getting into the January, February timeframe, and they've got snow that's piled up and piled up, that they actually had their vent pipe clogged by snow, and began to get carbon monoxide buildup inside the house. So we're talking cold since we're here at November, and the early season fire risks. We're still at the end of fire prevention month, which is October. Please look around for things that can be a fire source within your house. This is time with your family to talk about your fire plan, your escape plan. Where are we going to meet outside the house? Don't go back in the house after you've come out looking for something, etc. So this is time for your fire plan, to take a look at your smoke detectors and change batteries, and then think about other sources of cold weather problems like carbon monoxide. Okay. Very quickly on infectious disease. Out in the community now are RSV, COVID, and flu vaccinations. Little headlines around the country. One of the RSV vaccinations for infants has not been readily available. And so talk to your pediatrician about your child who you want to get vaccinated, and is a vaccine available for that child. The other vaccines for seniors and for pregnant women are readily available. And so if you're a senior, if you'll talk to your primary care physician about the RSV vaccination for seniors. And if you're pregnant, your obstetrician can talk to you about what the appropriate time is for you to get immunized, so that you pass antibodies to your baby to protect them when they're born. And if you're a parent with young children, particularly those under 2 years of age, we give a monoclonal antibody, and there are two available. One of them in shortage, one of them not. Those are for the youngsters to prevent them from getting this terrible respiratory disease, RSV. Flu vaccinations are out. So far, they've been a really good match for the influenzas going on in the community in America. And then COVID vaccinations, there have been differences this year. Let's just say it that way, because the COVID vaccinations are now out in the private health system and are not part of the usual public health distributions that we've had the first 3 years. So you're not going to hear there's an announcement to go to the big arena in town and get your COVID vaccination, and that they're being given out one after the other. Bring your card, no payment, etc. Now it's going to be a kind of more subtle announcements by local clinics, by primary care providers, and by retail pharmacies and other big distributors who say, hey, we've got COVID vaccinations available. Make your appointment. Make your appointment. That's going to be really important this year. And you make an appointment, you go at a certain time, you still bring your card with you so that they can update that card. And there may be talk about payment for that, or talk about who your insurance provider is. Bring your insurance card for us. So that will come to be more like our private uh, health system based immunization programs that go on now, where you have to talk about insurance cards or payment and copays and deductibles to get those vaccinations. Whatever it is, we're into the time of the year where we begin to think about cold weather things, and we protect ourselves from respiratory viruses. I was on planes last couple of weeks. A lot of people with a mask on again. For those of you who've got sensitive lungs and who can pick up the bugs like I do, unfortunately, I have a mask on. A surgical mask is a starting point. An N95 mask that we still have around and available protects you from the bugs that other people may be coughing out. And one more reminder that free COVID tests are still available. If you'll just look that up, and through a CDC based web link, you can have free COVID tests mailed to your house. There's a limit, it's usually 4 per household. And some of you have employers who have those still available. COVID tests can check and see whether that's the disease. And if you test positive for COVID, that's a 5-day respite for you to get better. All right, everybody, Doc Talk, end of October. Really appreciate moving into this busy time of the year, and take good care of yourself as we go into the winter time. Thanks a lot.